So we can die in Accra. My name is Noble Crosby Anna. In the bulletin this afternoon, civil society platforms in education petitioning the International Monetary Fund not to cut down on the budget expenditure to the education sector. We have details of that story and a lot more, plus some international news as the attack on a military base in eastern Burkina Faso kills 33 soldiers and wounded 12 others. You're welcome to the program. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you in the next 60 minutes if you stay with us. We're also live on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We're live also on DSTV channel 279. Thank you for joining us on those platforms. Let's start off with some news, and we're talking about the fallout from the Adam Mahama trial. The first accused in the murder of Adams Mahama, the former Upper East Regional Chairman of the NPP, Gregory Afoko, is set for a retrial at the Accra High Court following a hung decision by the 7-member jury. The second accused person, Asapke Alangdi, has, however, been sentenced to death by hanging on a unanimous verdict from the jury in conspiracy to murder. Court correspondent Dodedu Asari has won this report.
My lord, I haven't done anything, and I am pleading with the court. These were the final words of a seemingly dejected second accused in the Adams Mahama murder case, Asapke Alangdi. After 8 years of trial, which involved the prosecution calling on 16 witnesses, the prime suspect, Gregory Afoko, got a favorable verdict from the 7-member jury, who gave a 4-3 not guilty decision on both charges of conspiracy and murder. Justice Ifwa Melewood, a justice of the Court of Appeal, noted that per the law, a 4-3 verdict means it is a hung jury and there must be retrial of the case. Counsel for the second accused, Alangdi, said he will make an appeal to the death sentence pronounced on their client after the jury gave a unanimous verdict finding him guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Alhaji Adams Mahama suffered severe injuries after a substance suspected to be acid was allegedly poured on him at his premises in Bogatanga on May 20, 2015. Dodedu Asari, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, this is a conversation that is developing, especially on the back of a hanged jury verdict. We need some education on that. Let's speak with the private legal practitioner Martin Pigbu shortly. But in the meantime, the Attorney General, Godfred Dame, has shared highlights of the trial of Gregory Afoko, the brother of former national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Afoko, who has been acquitted by the Accra High Court following a hung jury. The Attorney General said in a statement that it highlights and that should guide lawyers and the general public from making commentaries which have an undue tendency to jeopardize the sound and efficient administration of justice. Paralegal practitioner Martin Pigbu is now joining us for some viewpoints on the matter. Counsel, grateful for your time with us on the program. We're hearing that this is a hung jury. Talk to us about what this means and what, constitutes the jury itself.
Okay, yeah. So in this context of a hung jury, what it simply means is that the decision of the jury has not met the threshold or met the standard acceptable in law. Let's break it further. So the first thing, even the preliminary thing to note is that in such capital offenses, or let's just put it also generally, in a trial on indictment, or simply let's say trial involving jury, it is the jury who are the judges. They will decide. So though you have a judge in the courtroom there, he is to guide them. But the people who really take the decision, whether guilty or not guilty, is the jury. So the law says that when it is murder, capital offense like murder, it should be unanimous, So that's, we are talking about section 285 of the Criminal and Other Offenses Procedure Act. Its simple name is called Act 30, so that the law doesn't become too long for you. So Act 30 says that, look, it can be unanimous, whether he's guilty or not guilty. But if not, you can have 6-1. You can also have 5-2. That's the last. Anything apart from this, it's not a decision. Meaning that in this case where they are 4-3, when it's a capital offense, the court doesn't accept that as a decision. So, of course, you ask me why. It dates way back. And that's how come in this particular case that Gregory Afuku has already suffered a full trial that the Attorney General canceled by nolle prosequi. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court allowed the nolle prosequi to stand. And now that the jurors have not, convicted him, we think this basis for us to look at the law again, because everybody sees that there is something unjust about this. And true, they have a point. You know, laws are made to reflect the sense of justice of the people. This is somebody who has already gone through a full trial. When the Attorney General saw that he was about to lose the case, he went and did the nolle prosequi and stopped it. Then they started afresh. The jurors have come with their decision, and they say, look, this man is not guilty in ordinary terms, except that they're not guilty, not enough of them to meet the standard required by the law.
Right, counsel, so when the jury is not unanimous in their verdict, in their decision, what does the law say?
Yeah, so there can be a retrial in this case. There can be a retrial in this case. It's sanctioned by the law. But remember, what people are saying, and also what I'm buying into, is that, look, you see, why I'm saying, what does the law say? The law was written, this is 1960, this Act 30, it's 1960 law. We are talking 2023. So the question we should be more interested in is that, as a people, are we still interested in this kind of law? That is the main question. As for what does the law say, yes, simply, you can go and start afresh. But you ask yourself that somebody who went through a full trial, maybe in case viewers have forgotten, let's remember this case even went to the Supreme Court. There was a first trial where the state called all its witnesses, several witnesses, and finished. I think that was sometime around 2019 or 2020, thereabout, which I may have forgotten the exact year. But they finished. Accused also testified. Finished. Everything was done. We're just left with the judge to sum up. You know, at the end of a jury trial, the judge, because he's not the one to decide, but he has the legal knowledge and also how it applies to the case itself, he has to summarize, he has to educate the jurors that you are jurors, you are the judges in this case, but let me guide you how the steps you take to come to a decision. So that was just what was left, and then the jurors will give their decision. And at that stage, the Attorney General entered the nolle prosequi. When we say nolle prosequi, in simple language, Attorney General canceled the case. And yes, in law, it is allowed. When it's a criminal case, Attorney General can cancel the case because it's the Attorney General that the Constitution gives power to prosecute, Article 88. So that case went to the Supreme Court on the basis that, look, for a trial that has been completed, when I say completed, there's no yet judgment, but what we mean is that witnesses have finished talking.
Right.
And that's a lot of work and time involved. Why should the Attorney General come and cancel it? The Supreme Court looked at the Constitution and said it's allowed. But what we are now saying as citizens are that this man suffered such a fate, lost a lot of time, and they said, yes, the Attorney General can cancel.
Okay.
Then you come to round two. Now the jurors have decided, they say he's not guilty in ordinary sense, except that the ordinary sense doesn't meet the legal sense. So as citizens, we have to debate it. Should we allow such a thing to continue? Is that justice? That 8 years we've been going back and forth? That is what it looks very oppressive. So we can review the law.
Right, counsel, as we debate this to fine-tune the gray areas in the law and how to make it relevant in this present age, the Attorney General is saying that the outcome of the trial, we're talking about the hung jury, it indicates the bad state the jury system is. It highlights the severe challenges in Ghana's jury system. What do you make of that? Do you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, so we need to reform. We need to reform the jury system. We need to make it more functional and more modern, right? Some have even said it should be totally wiped out. I don't support it, no. I don't, because you always need citizens to participate in the justice system. It didn't start today. This right is over 700 years old.
Right.
Yeah, people fought and fought for it. So something that we've had centuries and centuries, we can't just throw it out of Ghana. So I agree that we should modernize it. We should help the jury a bit more. Like somebody said, they are allowed to, but they should make more notes during the trial. Even the way they sit in the court is a bit oppressive. You see, we should create more space. They should have desks. You see, right now, you just see them on chairs like this. There's no desk in front of them. There should be desks. There should be other things. And then most especially, the guidance that we give them. In the UK like this, they have a manual that teaches the judge how to help break down. So we also need that manual to guide them to come, and so many other things. So we need reforms in the jury system.
Pleasure talking to you, Counsel. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with private legal practitioner, lawyer Martin Pig. We'll bring us some perspectives on the Adam Mahama trial. Well, that's some education on a hanged jury. If you didn't know, you know about a hanged parliament. Now you know also about a hanged jury. Still on the education matter, this time typical education. The Ghana National Association of Teachers, they say that the continuous strike by school feeding caterers will affect learning outcomes across the country. So speaking to TV3, Deputy General Secretary Daniel Afedu called on government and the caterers to resolve their differences to prevent further harm to the academic calendar.
If we review the flagship program that we have, we will get resources somewhere to put it into this particular school feeding program. But because we want to, government wants to do everything free, everything free, we will certainly have challenges. And that is the challenge, that how can you feed a child less than 1 cedi? Where? Less than 1 cedi. Which kind of food will give you, when you have 1 cedi, what food will you be giving? And the reason why we are doing this, but it is to help the children, give them one nutritious meal. 1 cedi, what do you get? Can we be assured that the kind of food we give our children at the school is nutritious enough to develop their mind and to develop their intellectual capabilities? And these are children that we must provide them with meals to stay in school. We must provide them with teachers to stay in school. If we do not do it, they will go into child labor.
Now, away from that, civil society platforms in education, they have petitioned the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, not to cut down on the budget expenditure to the education sector. The CSOs want the IMF to remove brutal cuts from its conditionalities. Executive Director of the African Education Watch, Kofi Asare, says the government is being compelled to meet the IMF conditionality and may affect social spending, including education. Now, this is a clarion call that the CSOs are making to the IMF. They're asking government to painstakingly avoid huge cuts in the education sector. Now, Sen Ghana is also a signatory to the letter. Dr. Emmanuel Aifa is Deputy Country Director of Sen Ghana. Let's speak with him on their motivation for this and if they do not want the IMF and government to undertake expenditure cuts in the education sector, what will be the way forward for the country's quest to get the bailout, as well as fine-tuning the education sector as well. Dr. Aifa, thank you for joining us on the program. You desire that there be no more, expenditure cuts for the education system, particularly for basic education, because we do not want to touch the free senior high school. What do you propose government does?
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners and viewers. And thank you for having us. We are making this call to the IMF because, traditionally, IMF has really not been so much involved in social sector issues. All that they are interested in is to look at balance of payment and whatnot. But fast forward, recent times, they have actually tended to have the idea that, yes, it's important to also look at the social sector. However, there's history out there that we are basing our argument on. If you look at when Ghana was in the IMF program around 2010, 2009, 2010 about, what we saw was huge cuts in social sector expenditure, including education. And that ActionAid and other people actually even reported on that, and of huge adverse impact on our education sector, especially primary education. Currently, is that looking at the medium-term expenditure framework and looking at the budget figures that have been put at the 2023 and then projections from 2024 to 2025, we are also witnessing same cuts in education expenditure. To the extent that, you know, we're something called the Global Partners for Education. That enjoins countries to use 15% of their total budget allocation for education, and then as much as GDP, education sector expenditure to GDP should be about 4%. But what we are observing is that for this year, it has gone down to 12%, and we are projected to even go way down, which means that we are not even meeting that benchmark. If you look at the expenditure, as I said, up to 2025, it clearly tells us that we are having huge cuts in education.
Right.
And when that happens, it's going to affect, obviously, the primary education. The fact is that already we have as much as about 5,000 or so schools that are either under trees or under sheds. And then some kids, it's estimated about 1 million or so are already also not in school. And we have a challenge of textbooks because since the new curriculum came, we've not really had schools having textbooks. And so if you are already cutting down the education expenditure because of IMF provisions, that is really going to worsen the already bad situation. And that is why we are calling on the IMF that as much as possible, they should look at that, because I'm sure when IMF speaks, government is going to listen. And so we are calling on the IMF to try as much as possible, not for government to cut expenditure. One key thing is that our president happens to be the ambassador for education. That means that he's enjoying to encourage other countries to meet the 15% threshold and the 4% GDP to education threshold. So if we have a president who is supposed to be a champion, and then your own house is not meeting that target, then it's important that we talk about it.
Right.
It's important because it's about the Ghanaian child.
Dr. Aya, I'd like to thank you for your time with us. We're speaking with Dr. Emmanuel Aya, is the Deputy Director for CERN Ghana, talking about a petition to the International Monetary Fund not to, cut brutally Ghana's educational budget, as the country is on a quest to get a $3 billion from the International Monetary Fund. If you like, now government is between the rock and a hard place, how to get the money from the IMF as well as not to impact some key sectors of the economy, particularly education, as the CSOs in education are petitioning the IMF board over brutal education cuts. Now, the Director of Research at the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Nyakwotu, has cautioned government against the continuous computation of salaries below the minimum wage of workers. He was speaking at a lecture in Accra ahead of Labour Day celebrations.
We have a minimum wage which is very low. Unfortunately, a significant number of workers, both in the public and private sectors, are being paid below the minimum wage. And if the minimum wage is supposed to be a mandatory wage below which nobody should be paid, doing so, or pay, in other words, paying people below the minimum wage is against the law. But unfortunately, we observe it both in the private and public sector. So we have an incomes regime which is so low, so unequal, to understand when, if you take, say, a worker earning the minimum wage compared to the cost of living, that worker is not able to self-produce itself. And it actually has a way of diminishing worker performance, effort level, because the pay level is so low that workers have other things to think of rather than concentrating on the work. Of course, our point has always been that if you pay workers well, they are likely to be self-motivated and they are likely to put in more effort to achieve the kind of productivity and performance we all want.
We're still staying with the TUC because it is calling on government to immediately roll out a national safety and occupation and health policy without delay. Daniel Opoku is a Labour correspondent. He's joining us for details of the call by the TUC. Daniel, grateful for your time with us on the program. Why is the Congress asking for a national safety and occupation and health policy at this time?
So good afternoon. This is not the first time the National Congress has been calling for the need for a national policy on occupational safety and health. For the past 10 years now, that has been the call of the National Congress. And the problem has been that consistently when the policy is formulated, then there's change of government, so the policy is affected. The last policy which was formulated was around 2018, 2019. And that also went to Cabinet, and Cabinet may have to reject it. So that policy was rejected by Cabinet, where they said that some inputs have to be made, and also they have to domesticate the ILO conventions, other ILO conventions like ILO Convention 55 and 186. All those things are needed to be incorporated in the occupational health and safety policy. It's the reason the policy has not been able to be rolled out. It's also the reason the policy has also not been tabled before Parliament, for Parliament to do adequate or proper perusal of the document before it can be passed or before it can be rolled out by a government. Now, what is most important that I want to carry across currently is the fact that the Labour Department, which is under the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, also has conducted a research. And the research they did was 2022, that's last year, where they were looking at workplace accidents and those probably who lost their lives. And when we look at their table, last year alone, over 1,043 people were affected or sustained numerous degrees of injuries, out of which 7 of them lost their lives. And about 1,000 also have also gotten permanent injuries that they are unable to deal with. Currently, some of them are in retirement. These are the concerns being raised by the Labour Department. Also, the similar concerns are also being raised by the Trade Union Congress. They believe that when all these things are put together into the occupational health and safety policy, then clearly workers are going to be at a safer side, and also is going to have a very stable and conducive working environment.
Okay. But Daniel, briefly before you take leave of us, this is not the first time they're asking this. They began some 10 years ago, as you rightly mentioned. What is the levels of assurance this time that this government will listen to their plea?
Right. So this actually, the policy is not only for the Trade Union Congress. We have other affiliate bodies of the Trade Union Congress who have also been pushing for the same policy to be passed by government. So consistently, when they meet government, they have the assurance from the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, who is the sole ministry leading government when it comes to issues on occupational health and safety. And the assurances that they have is that when the policy is streamlined, when there are bottlenecks within the policy, those things are dealt with, and clearly government is likely to carry that through. And the Trade Union Congress also has said that they are going to push this policy to the end of this year to ensure that this policy is passed or this policy is properly dealt with by government.
Daniel, thank you for those updates. Daniel Opoku is a Labour correspondent there. Now, truancy amongst pupils and students in mining communities is not a new phenomenon, but the growing spate of illegal mining has heightened concerns about a spike and its attendant challenges for these children. In the quest for fast money overrides the precarious situation they put themselves in. Godwin Asidiba visited Chebi Apapem in the eastern region, where pupils in illegal mining is rife, and filed this report. Bringing you that story in a subsequent bulletins, but we're still live on TV3. We're live on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We're live also on DSTV channel 279. Let's now bring you that story now.
It's Wednesday, October 12, and the sun is just rising in the little village of Chebi Apepem, one of the several communities along the Birim River in the eastern region. Kelvin Osei, 13, and Michael Oteng, 12, not their real names, together with their friends, are gearing up for work instead of school. They stroll calmly, making what has become a daily journey from their village to an illegal mining site. They are no way child laborers. These children scavenge at abandoned illegal mining sites known as Galamsey in Ghana in search of gold. For almost a decade, this part of Ghana has been a fabled source of gold. Driven by desperate poverty, thousands of small-scale miners in Chebi will do anything to find it. Here, thousands of children are risking their lives in order to find a few grams of hope. 12-year-old Michael Oteng is one of them. Michael will prefer to be at school, but he needs to work to get money for books and feeding. Today, their target is laterite left in the polluted Birim River by illegal miners. They tell me they are searching for the elusive gold nuggets. Kelvin would want to be a lawyer in the future and hopes he will not have to leave school permanently to work. Most of them have missed so much school that they are now years behind. Others have also called it a quit. Here, it's common for children to leave school at a young age in order to work. But Kelvin Osei dreams for a better future than this. This is a heavy burden on them. These children earn 50 to 150 Ghana cedis per visit to the Galamsey site. Sometimes they earn nothing. 16-year-old Benjamin Ohene is still in school, but his best friend, 20-year-old Matthias Osafo, dropped out 2 years ago to cater for his younger siblings. For the past 3 years, these two have had the same daily routine, digging frantically with their hands in the sand of Chebi Apepem. The rate at which children in Chebi Apepem abandoning their classrooms to engage in illegal mining activities popularly known as Galamsey in Ghana is very high.
Now, let me tell you why we recalled that story from October 2022, which is last year. At the moment, the Chebi Traditional Council has called on Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, the former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, to prove that Galamsey took place in the President's house in Chebi in the eastern region. The claims in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, according to the council, are false and should be dismissed with contempt. The council wants Professor Boateng to appear before it to corroborate his Galamsey reports. Now, we also know that the chief of Chebi summoned Professor Frimpong Boateng to come to the palace and then, if you like, corroborate the claims in the report. Gwadwin Asidiba was my colleague who went to Chebi last year and filed reports of the manners of Galamsey in the Chebi area, the Chebi enclave. Is now joining us for some viewpoints on the back and then vis-a-vis the claims by some respondents in Chebi that Galamsey is not going on there. Godwin, grateful for your time with us on Midday Live. When you went to Chebi last year, first of all, what is the nature of the place in relation to Galamsey?
So where I actually went to was Chebia Pepem, and that was in October last year, 2022. And when you actually get to the place, not to be quick to conclude, but from what I saw, you can clearly tell that a number of people might be engaged in illegal mining. But first of all, you know, you get to a community and you want to speak to the leaders to get to know exactly if the things we are hearing out there are true or not. So I was very fortunate to meet the assembly member for the Chebia Pepem area, who actually mentioned to me that illegal mining activities is fueling teenage pregnancies, and other pupils are also not going to school as a result of that. So I was like, okay, this is a great story angle that we can't target, since as a human interest story that we are looking for in that particular community. So I was able to speak to a number of girls who have actually been impregnated by illegal miners in the community.
So this is as a result of the effects of illegal mining ongoing at Chebia, particularly Chebia Pepem. But when you went there to do this report a year ago, what was the reception of the traditional authorities there?
They opened their arms to welcome me, but I will say that they weren't really open to me when it comes to giving out information. The kits you saw me highlight in the story was something that I had to investigate on my own. The chiefs mentioned to me that they had a task force who goes around, let's say every Tuesday or Wednesday, to ensure that people do not come to their mining sites to operate. And I actually had the opportunity to visit some of them. We went to some of the sites, but that particular day, the illegal miners had a hint that the patrol team will be coming around. So we went and we met empty pits, but you could clearly tell that this is a place that people often visit to operate. One of the chiefs mentioned to me that most of them operate at night. And there was one time that he went there with a task force and he was attacked. So at that particular day that I went to the community, I insisted that I wanted to go there at night, because we've seen a lot of stories that have been told without highlighting the practice being, you know, done at night. So I'd wanted to highlight that part of the story to know how devastating the situation is in the area. But unfortunately for me, he told me that he was tired and he wasn't available to go with me at night, probably because he was scared of some of these activities and maybe the attacks that might come with a job as well. But it is happening.
Godwin, thank you. So you heard from Godwin Asidiba. He went to Chebia last day. He's telling us that it is happening. Whether or not you believe what he's saying, and whether or not you believe what the authorities in Chebia are saying concerning the activities of illegal mining there, whether you want to call it some levels of untruth, let us know what you think on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Well, this is still Midday Live on TV3. My name is Noble Crosby, and we're going for a break. We'll bring you more stories after I stay with us.
Time to kill it! Follow freedom fighter! Papa, kill it! Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects. Today marks a new dawn to freedom. Ghana Labour Force. Let's all rally together to kill mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects for good. Be free, like Prophet Divine. I too was afflicted with mosquitoes. No. Please. No, don't go. Wait. Papa, kill it, win ye. Kill it. Kill it at the romantic and Tontomo. I am delivered. Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects. Kill it and kill it. Hello. Oh, Miba. And never Papa kill it.
Kill it. Leave room for 15 minutes after spraying and allow adequate ventilation. FDA actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo Superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change. The things you know we do today. You go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world. And it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles. Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Zest Consult is the best place for your IELTS, SAT, and GRE tuition. The IELTS facilitates study, work, and live abroad. The SAT and GRE facilitate study abroad on scholarships. Zest Consult has an amazing track record of training around 4,000 students, nurses, midwives, and many others who have excelled in these examinations and realized their study and work abroad dreams. Contact us if you really want to study on scholarship. Zest Consult also provides real estate, automobile, and IT solution services. We can help you buy or sell lands and buildings and rent office spaces or accommodation. We can also help you obtain a car loan or buy or sell a car. If your institution needs a stunning website and amazing software, then contact us. You can call or WhatsApp us on 0345 631 633 or 050 909 2330. You can locate us at Kumasi Cultural Center and the Chamsume 5 inside Willas Towers. Zest Consult, excellence is our hallmark.
The fishing industry in Ghana is of prime importance to the economy and the well-being of the people. Sadly, this critical industry faces a hidden threat that threatens its very existence and survival. Join us as we shine our spotlight on the canker of illegal fishing, a practice that has devastated our marine resources, depleting our fish stock, leaving our fishermen with empty nets, fish processors struggling to survive, and our communities in dire straits. We delve into safe fish handling and processing, certification and licensing schemes. We focus our sharp lenses on child labor and trafficking in fishing communities to demand accountability and responsiveness from duty bearers. Join 3 Foundations advocacy for Ghana's fisheries recovery through missions compelling and captivating advocacy. Keep an eye out on TV3. This program is under the auspices of the Feed the Future Ghana Fisheries Recovery Activity, funded by USAID, from the American people, live on News 360 and across all Media Journal social media platforms.
Good afternoon and welcome to the business segment. You're still watching Midday Live and my name is Minu Afo. In our first story today, many businesses could suffer from the implementation of new taxes which is set to take off from May 1. That's according to a tax expert, Francis Timor, who says the GRA cannot be blamed for the woes of the business community because government refused to state the implementation date in the law. According to him, this will not allow the transitional period for businesses to recalibrate their systems ahead of time. He spoke to 3 Business.
I think the blame goes to Parliament because at every point in time, they fail to provide transitional and effective dates of the law. And sometimes government loses a lot of revenue. I don't see why businesses will be able to implement these laws, especially by 1st May. For some, it can be done. But if you take, for example, the excise duties, and for companies who sell in volumes, it will take them some time to adjust their computer systems. In July 31st, Parliament passed the law, and then it was supposed to take effect on 1st of August. It took like 4 months for the GRA themselves to amend their systems at the port to be able to account for the new taxes. So if the GRA, government with all the resources at its disposal, is unable to implement the laws in such a short time, how do you expect businesses to do? And so in the end, businesses will just have to comply, and then they will have to absorb the taxes. on behalf of the, the businesses. Can GRA be blamed? We say no, because in 2013, when the GRA suspended implementation of a similar tax, the Commissioner General was invited to Parliament to come and answer why he's not implementing the law that Parliament has passed. So in the end, GRA will also have to adopt some, what we call buga way of ensuring that they also go ahead with the law that has been passed by Parliament. After all, they are just implementers. But the question is, why is Parliament always refusing to state the implementation date in the law? I think Parliament needs to do better when they are passing out tax law. They should understand the effect of tax laws on our lives.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chum Akwabwa, has confirmed to 3 business industry players are ready to implement the 3 new taxes in line with directives from the Ghana Revenue Authority. He indicated that some companies have already begun to recalibrate their systems, but will, however, call for some amendments on the taxes.
We are not comfortable with these taxes, to be honest with you, because of the structure and the way it's being implemented. We would have wished that there's more provision, special provision for industries. Industries are going through serious challenges, and we think at this particular moment, this is the time to provide some incentive to encourage local production. So if new taxes that are being imposed, this should have been taken into account so that we make special dispensation for industrial companies. But we have indicated that once the implementation is starting, what we'll be doing is to be monitoring the performance of these taxes, whether government is achieving the targeted revenue, whether it is unduly affecting industries, and any other effect that could possibly come out. When we monitor for a while, we can still make a case to government and ask for specific amendment to improve the situation.
And away from that, pensioner bondholders will from Monday resume their picketing at the Ministry of Finance following the refusal of government to fulfill its promise. The resumption of their action is due to the government's failure to pay all outstanding coupons and principals of bond investments. Convener Dr. Edu Anani Entry, in an interview, expressed disappointment about the government's inconsistency. And that's it for the business segment. My name is Menu Afo. Do stay with us for more news.
On their way. Hey, they have to inspect your place before they approve the marriage. Friday. Friday we are home.
I think they are here. Let me call you back.
AC.
I get fan too.
We need fridge. Many sure procedure washing machine crowd. We need TV. Hey, just what them have here. And Pankwana.
Hey, where they are to Pankwana?
At to find entertainment in Kwadi. Eddie Assembeba. Our way. Embassy.
Hey, Ratchet into TCL Fala Friday promotion. Into one day.
Yes, Friday we are. TCL Fala Friday is back. Up to 50% discount on all TCL products. Should I say TVs, ACs, fridges, washing machines, Nina are selling at up to 50% discount. Visit any TCL showroom nationwide now wants to enjoy Fala Nibiwa.
Abrantie mi hu fum so bia won ho. I see ku. Sa abrantie we o ka tire nkrofo ni se me mo bia anto home appliance e wo so bia keke. Na o sa kwa so ajenkwa ohene sesai.
Kan ni important ni na odini nchesha dada manfo ase o madu poto.
Miwi na mesi ya ka kwa ke ho se na wa se o. Iti. Kuno. Agbe wodini. Oso yo. Wa himie wa hifa.
Asasi, anyone did do any I am in major dear. And what has a memo nipa who near ye, nay, papa.
Nay, papa.
And it's only papa 20 home appliances in our car farm. That's why when you are near me so far so pet. This day, car farm was sorted. But it 1 year man so I could do 65%.
Tivika Sepa, no boys.
And so, I'm not so too.
You can see what you feel.
Anyhow.
Yeah. I brought him a bit somewhere. We are to me catch him, didn't you say Kuno? And someone can also to us. I feel way, yet the yes won't by channel. If it's all cancer, I feel for nearby great. Macafan for and so too.
Anyhow. Hello? Kafam. Who must sort of Ponto Pilato, mammy?
Ah, digitals are yours. Michelle Kofaka from TV Cassian Bremen.
Eh, Ratchet, Magunya.
Kafam, assorted Easter promo. And you're up to 65% off.
Last year was massive. This year, it will be the bomb. Tour du Ghana, the ultimate cycling event in the sports calendar, happening on the 20th and 21st of May 2023. Confirm your participation. Registration fee is 200 Ghana cedis for single riders, while 100 Ghana cedis goes for clubs with 10 riders or more. Your registration comes with personal accident cover, accommodation, feeding, and transportation. Start point of the tour is from the West Hills Mall, SCC to the Takrady Mall, and from Takrady to the Cape Coast Chapel Square. For more details, contact 0244-893758 or 0546 063 747. Tour du Ghana, happening on the 20th and 21st of May 2023. Be part of the excitement.
3FM Tour du Ghana is brought to you by Super Yo.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the sports segment here on Midday Live with me, Oreku Wampofo. We do start off with some bit of athletics. There was a speed clinic organized as part of Sports Equities Lab's 4-day Max Velocity Speed Summit targeted at providing skills to boost performances of national athletes and the younger ones aspiring to become athletes in future.
Students, athletes, and coaches were taken through techniques and procedures to boost their speed and learn improved scientific process of the sports. This is Powell's second visit to Ghana in just a month. He explained the idea of a speed clinic was too good to turn down and believes Ghana has lots of skills to unearth.
From what I'm seeing, they need a lot of work. They need to get strong, strengthen their core, strengthen their legs, so far it's going real well. They're really accepting the training, and the coaches as well are learning a lot, and they're accepting it as well. So it's going good. Just hope that it continues. That's the main thing, that it continues.
The summit and speed clinic was started by Dr. Yecha Kwakli Wasonu, who founded a Sports Equity Lab a few years back. Yecha was a Ghanaian athlete and in 2016 became a member of the national long jump team.
This entire session, for those who are not used to it, is going to be a wake-up call. So a lot of the muscles they're not used to using, they've now been asked to use, right? Also, a lot of the positions they're not used to assuming, they've been asked to assume. So might be a little sore in the next couple of days, but that's okay. Par for the course, part of being an athlete. And I really hope that they really learn, essentially, that there is precision, and there's precision to sports. Hopefully, they'll be hungry to learn more and to master these skills moving forward.
Students present at the clinic expressed their joy and aspirations in the sports.
I'm very glad I did it. I feel a lot more stretched and better. I feel like I can run faster. Yeah.
I was able to learn a lot of stuff to help me improve my athletics.
Para-athletes are usually painfully overlooked when events like this come to town, but the Max Velocity Speed Clinic gave an opportunity to para-athletes to learn for the experience and ask questions regarding the sport.
Don't let anybody tell you no.
You are in charge of you. You know your disability. You know your abilities to do so. So when someone tells you no, push them and shot it and tell them that you could do otherwise.
The 3-day event, which began this week, is set to finish by the end of the month with the main goal of creating opportunities for Ghanaian athletes.
To football now, where Great Olympics defeated Asante Kotoko by 2-0 at Sugar Kope on Thursday to boost their chances of survival in the Ghana Premier League. Olympics head coach Bismarck Kobe-Mensah believes the team performed better and did deserve to win, whilst Abdoulaye Gazelle expressed his worry with his side's performance.
Very disappointing. We came here to keep our winning record straight, but unfortunately we couldn't get it right in the first 10-15 minutes. Our players didn't do well in the first 10-15 minutes. We considered an early goal around 8th minute, which I think it was avoidable. A second goal came as soon as we lost. We went in to attack for a corner kick. It's very disappointing to see a playing team like this who need to push up. Anytime we think that we are coming on top, something happening. In fact, this one, I was very disappointed in the first half, the way we played. Because if we were to play the way we played in the second half, it wouldn't be the same results that we just ended the game with. So I think we have to go back, keep on working to see how best we'll end the league.
I think it was good. Seriously, I told you earlier that we couldn't have done anything better than this very win. You know, playing against Kotoko was a headache for me because they also want to win the league. But at the end of the day, we prepared very well for this game. I think they deserve the win because I think in the first half, we were very dominant in every department. We showed resilience, we showed determination, and that has won the game for us.
From the Ghana Premier League, let's move to the English Premier League, where Pedro Porro and Heung-min Son scored the goals as Tottenham Hotspur fought back from 2 goals down to seal a 2-2 draw against rivals Manchester United. Let's hear from a frustrated Eric Ten Hag and Spurs caretaker boss Ryan Mason.
Yeah, before I would be happy with the point. Brilliant, but we had completely control. We had the overload in the midfield. We used it very well, especially when we switched from the right to the left. We used that overload. We scored both goals. But when you are, be honest, just before we make 2-0, they had a big chance to score 1-1. And also before that, over our right side, we conceded some counters, and we were not good in positioning. And so also already before halftime, we were playing not that well. But after halftime, there was a difference. We lose the control because we were not ball secure. And then you have to go into the fight. And when you lose your battles, when you don't block the crosses, when you don't squeeze out, when you don't block shots, you concede goals. And that's what happened. So then you can be... finally, you have to be satisfied and take that point.
Big character, big personality, stuck together, kept believing, acted as a team throughout the whole game, and it pleases me after what happened at the weekend because we probably didn't have that as a group. And off the back of how the first half went in terms of the scoreline, to go out half-time and stick together, fight for each other, and really get our fans involved, and I felt like they helped us as well massively. It's pleasing, and it proves a lot to me what I already thought about this group, but to see that onto the pitch, it's a good feeling.
Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on Midday Live. My name is Ore Kwampofo. If you're after some more sports updates, you can follow us on social media at 3SportsGH. Up next on Midday Live is entertainment.
Welcome to the entertainment news segment. My name is Anita Ikia Ekufu, and veteran Ghanaian actor and producer Oscar Provençal, popularly known as Inspector Bediako, says stakeholders in the creative space should stop comparing the Ghanaian movie industry to the successes attained by our Nigerian counterparts. He added that the statistics will not favor us in that comparison.
The industry has enormous potential. And I think that the first thing that we do to ourselves is try and put ourselves in a box and start comparing ourselves to Nigeria and comparing ourselves to Bollywood and comparing ourselves to whatever. Look, let's move in our own lane. Let's move in our own trajectory. Let's make sure we get our regulations right. Let's make sure we get our funding financing sector right for the film industry, and we'll move accordingly. I mean, Nigeria has, as you've stated, and I've read that report.
Yeah.
Nigeria churns out maybe 5,500 films annually.
Yes.
You know, compared to our 600. Now, if you look at the population of Nigeria, it's 250 million versus 30 million. Lagos State alone is 40 million. It's more than the population of the entire Ghana. Why do you want to compare yourselves to a country like that? I mean, this is not Ghana versus Jollof Mata. It's not.
Yeah.
So we're not in a, we're not in a race. We just need to make sure we put the foundations right so that the opportunities that are there for people who have the love and the passion to be in that value chain of film production have opportunities that the globe offers.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. And let's stop fantasizing about competing with Nigeria here and there. On Netflix, Nigeria currently has about...
And still on the movie industry, actress Nanama McBrown has been opening up on why there's no longer a thriving Kumawood movie industry. And speaking on TV3 New Day this morning, the experienced actress said the development is as a result of the lack of interest on the part of investors and producers.
Right now, we can't boast of Kumawood like before. Now, the people in the industry, the Kumawood ourselves, the actors are now fixing ourselves on short videos for YouTube. You can't boast of like 5 good producers right now from Kumasi. Everybody is doing other businesses now.
Did we even have that before? If you say you can't boast of 5 good producers now, can we say that we had maybe 5 good producers 5 years ago?
Honestly, when Kumawood was Kumawood, we had producers. We had about 50 producers in Kumasi and probably more. But most of them, I will still refer to Mr. Inspector Bediako. Most of them were businessmen.
Okay.
Some were into other businesses. When they came in, they helped. All of us, we had our share in that. But when they also realized, you see, as a businessman, not a filmmaker, most of them was just looking at the profit.
Yeah.
And for that matter, we didn't see the change to come, the transition that we are seeing right now.
And still in entertainment, the much anticipated Onia Showtime with Nanama McBrown premieres this Sunday, 30th April at 7 p.m. And ahead of the big premiere, the all-new host has been sharing some expectations to whet the appetite of viewers.
It's a big thank you to everybody who has given me the opportunity. And the biggest one, to Onia right now. I am so grateful and happy joining the big family here. Sunday is going to be amazing. I've looked forward for that day. I've been talking to my manager. When am I working? When is my show ready? When is the studio ready? When? That has been the word on my mouth and I mean the people out there. So Sunday we have arranged and we are ready to give you what you are looking for. You see, Ghanaians knows what they want.
Yeah.
And as an individual, I mean as an actor or a personality, they know what they want from you and they know what you can also deliver. So I believe most people are expecting me to deliver.
Yeah.
I am not going to force myself on anything. I want everybody to enjoy me on Sunday, enjoy themselves wherever they'll be watching the show from. It's a show to educate, entertain, inform. We advise ourselves. I'm going to have a studio audience.
Oh, nice.
It's a hand-in-hand show.
Okay, so you're doing everything.
Well-packaged, everything inside kind of show because I'm for everybody.
We simply cannot wait for this one. So make a date on Sunday at 7 p.m. on Onia TV. It is Onia Showtime. And that's how we wrap up on the entertainment news segment. My name is Anita Ikia Ikufu. Up next is international news. Good afternoon.
Well, in news outside the Ghanaian border, an attack on a military base in eastern Burkina Faso has killed 33 soldiers and wounded 12 others in the latest outburst of violence in the West African country. The army said in a statement the besieged soldiers killed at least 40 tourists on Thursday before reinforcement arrived. The attack targeted the military detachment
in Kogoro in the East region. Burkina Faso's armed forces have battled rebels since 2015. More than 10,000 civilians and members of the security forces have died, according to estimates, while at least 2 million people have fled their homes. Well, that's our package this afternoon. My name is Noble Crosby, and thank you so much for watching the bulletin. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Please log on for more. We'll see you again some other time. Bye-bye.